Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about a subject that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I actually have filmed this video a few times. It's just every time the audio is fucked up. So let's pray to the audio gods that it won't be fucked up. I really want this to go up. But hey, if you guys don't know, hi, my name is Shelove. I never introduce myself by my name because I feel like it's the most awkward thing ever. But yeah, hi, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about why I'm illiterate in Japanese. If you guys didn't know, if you saw this title and you were like confused, you're American, you're black, why would you be illiterate in Japanese? I am half Japanese. My mom is Japanese. I grew up speaking Japanese. It's my first language. I worked in Japanese places, and my whole life, a lot of my life, even now, revolves around Japan and Japanese culture. I do videos. If you guys have never checked this channel out, I do videos on manga and anime and Japan stuff. I kind of slowed down the Japan stuff during COVID, but we're back. We're gonna start talking more about Japan stuff and through my lens type of thing. So if you've seen this channel before, you may know that I own a lot of Japanese books, whether it be picture books or mangas. I have a pretty big collection of Japanese books, and yet I will constantly say, but I can't read it very well, and that's because I cannot read very well. Growing up, I never had a choice of whether I learned how to speak Japanese because I had to. I know a lot of kids get the choice of you're gonna learn your language, like your mother tongue, or do you not want to? Like, for example, my fiance does not know how to speak Spanish very well because he chose not to learn it. I had no choice in that matter. I had to learn how to speak Japanese. Because my family, all on my mom's side, do not speak any English. So if I didn't learn, I would literally have been very bored every year because my grandma would come every year from Japan to come babysit me. I would have never been able to talk to her. Second, when in summers we would go to Japan, so I would never be able to talk to anyone, and that would have been also weird too. So I really didn't have a choice. I literally was thrusted into having to speak Japanese. So if you guys are like, how did you get your Japanese skills very well? Until I was 5 or 6, I only spoke Japanese. And so, yeah, I don't know how to help with your pronunciation. If you're now learning Japanese, like as an adult, I have no clue. I have no tips for you because I really don't know. I would love to give you tips. I could probably give you tips on how to learn how to read. And even then, my tips are a little bit different because, like I said, I come from I know vocabulary, I can talk, I can understand. So learning how to read is a lot faster for me, but it's also a lot slower than a lot of different people, which I will go into in this video. I feel like I'm going on this weird way of going into this, but this is just how my brain works, and I'm sorry. But yeah, when I was little, when I was younger, especially when I was in elementary school, I was not very good at English at all, and I got left back, and honestly, I always felt like, why would I ever need to learn how to read Japanese? It's not a skill I need, and I'm already bad at school, so I never really fully got into trying to learn Japanese until I was reading it until 4th or 5th grade. And when I did, actually no, I think around 3rd grade is when I really was like, oh, I probably should learn how to read Japanese, because my cousin who I'm 5 years apart from, I was 8 and she was 5, and she could read a lot of my picture books and I couldn't. And I felt really okay, maybe this is the sign that I need to learn how to read soon. But that just didn't happen because school life, time, I didn't have time or ways to really learn Japanese. I don't think learning Japanese was as easy in 2000. I think when is 2000? If I remember correctly, 2005-ish. Yeah, it would make sense. It wasn't as easy to learn Japanese online or anything, so it wasn't I was gonna be able to find my own resources. And so I think around 4th or 5th grade, I found out that you can access on the internet Japanese Disney Channel, the website Disney Channel. They had a Japanese version of Disney Channel, and so I would go on there and I would practice how to write characters' names in katakana because I thought that was gonna help me, and it didn't really I don't feel like I've really got anything. Nothing suck at all. And that's kind of then from in middle school and high school I got more into watching anime and reading manga, but I only really read manga in English. I never really got into the idea of reading manga in Japanese because as someone who grew up looking and seeing and knowing how Japanese looked, I thought it was just going to be too hard, especially because I had tried many times before and failed. I decided not to try and just read English manga. And then I went to college where I studied Chinese, And I realized, because I did 2 semesters of Chinese, I failed it twice. I realized that my Japanese skills are actually, reading skills are a lot better than they are, because if you guys don't know, Japanese and Chinese, pretty much the basic words and the basic characters are pretty much the same. So I knew how to read them, and that was the only part of that class that was easy. I couldn't form sentences or anything. I failed. And then in college, well, after I dropped out of college, because I did go to community college for like a year or two, and then I just quit because I didn't have the money to really go anymore. And I started working for Japanese companies because I literally applied to a bunch of different places, and the only places who would actually hire me were Japanese places, because being able to speak Japanese was really, 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 really useful. And that's where I kind of started to really feel my literacy, because I can speak such normal, perfect conversational Japanese. A lot of people would assume that I can read it. And so there was a job that I had where there was some things about like you had to translate, and I was really bad. So I just used Google Translate when I could. I didn't end up staying at the job very long, and it wasn't because of the whole Google Translate thing. It was also a reception job, and they wanted me to do a whole lot for like $9 an hour. It didn't work out, but also like they tried to fire me for having anxiety. Maybe that's a story time for another day. But I did leave that place, and then I started working at a few restaurants, and I met more Japanese people, and I ended up using my Japanese a little bit more. So like there were times when I was working where I never really used English. I was only speaking Japanese and stuff, and that actually really, really helped with my speaking skills. And also, because even though I could always speak it, it's different when you're using it constantly. And versus like, I feel like I listen, like even now I feel like I listen to Japanese way more than I speak Japanese, just because I'm not in Japan right now. I'm in America. So yeah. And basically the only time I really speak Japanese when I'm home is when I do Japanese YouTube videos, which I do like toy unboxings, and which don't have that many vocabulary. I don't really have to speak that much in them. I'm just like, wow, cool, yay. So, and I talk to my mom, so I still don't really use it very much. But the way that I think when I was working at those Japanese companies, what helped me was I was studying in between a lot more, and because I was using the words a lot more, and I also realized that some of my pronunciation was wrong, I learned how to spell a little bit better, because I learned how people were actually correcting me. My mom never corrected me with my wrong pronunciations for things, and it really like affects me now too, because there's some things that I really do not spell right, spell or speak right because of that, like, yeah. So now I'm 25 years old, and I'm still pretty fucking bad at reading Japanese, but I'm getting better, because I like last 2019, before the whole pandemic started, I was starting to go to Japan more and more, and so slowly my reading skills were starting to get better, because the only time really that I think my reading skills get really better is when I'm in Japan a lot more. I do own a bunch of Japanese manga, but a lot of them are actually above my like reading level, and so I'm actually really bad. So, and I haven't read most of the stuff that I have, because they are, yeah, like I said, way above my reading level. And recently I started to try to read again, and I realized my reading skills are actually getting way more better and way more quicker. So that's exciting. I never felt like I needed to know Japanese as a Japanese American, at least to read it. And I am very grateful that I know how to speak it, because I love that I can speak Japanese. I feel like this is like such a raw video, it's weird. And also because a lot of my hobbies and stuff are, I feel like now I know I can read certain things when it has to do with things I have to do for videos and YouTube and stuff like that, but I'm still very bad. And I know that there are definitely so many more people who learn on their own, who probably know how to read a lot better than I do, even though I'm Japanese. And I think that that's incredible. If you are learning Japanese and you can get to that level all by yourself, and this is like literally a foreign language to you, I think that's fucking amazing. I don't think I could do it like from zero. If let's say all my Japanese skills were like sucked out, I don't think I could do it anymore from one. But I honestly, like, oh my god, if you are one of those people, oh my god, you are so cool. I am still working on learning how to read better. So my reading level at this point is so half-assed. Like, I know for a fact, because I've heard other people who are like Korean or Japanese or like Asian talk about this, but my reading level is so half-assed that honestly it's easier to teach someone, like, and I've heard this before too, like, it's easier to teach someone who knows absolutely nothing about Japanese, Chinese, Korean, than for someone who understands it a bit but not fully understands it. So I can do bits of hiragana, horrible at katakana, and I can read bits of kanji. Because of that, it is so like I can't read and I also can't read. So it's kind of this weird part where it's like, yes, if you put it in a sense of, can you read at all? I can read some. Is it very literate? No. If am I really slow? I literally have, in order to read even like a children's book, I have to like spell it out for myself, like at you might have seen it in some of my videos if I have to read things, and so I don't really like showing that in videos, but I've started to show it because I'm like, it's just a real part of me. This is what I am. Also, something that I know that like might be weird, but I've been able to read a lot of anime titles since I was young, and that's because because I like anime. Like, so and since I was young, because Ojama Doremi is my favorite show, I've been able to read that. I know what Purikua said. I knew what Doraemon said. I knew like anime words. So honestly, I think that if you have like a strong association, you can learn words. I don't know. Like, I don't know why I don't have that much with like all the words. I think one day I might get a tutor, and that's kind of my goal. And to make it better, like I do really like, my goal is to even just at least get to a level where I can read a manga in a day, like a day. Because it takes me so long to read manga in Japanese, and so I really wish I could do that. I feel like I'm a lot more like, I feel very blessed still, because I know some people don't even know at all their mother tongue, and I know that America, especially because I live in America, I'm Japanese American, I live in America. I know for a fact that America, like, America's one of the most monolingual countries in the world, so I'm very grateful that I can even speak Japanese. I am so happy. Maybe I'll do a video on tips that have helped me learn how to read Japanese a lot faster, or is just helping me read Japanese just in general, because I have a lot of things that have helped me in the last like few years that I think is the reason why I'm absorbing things a lot quicker now. Also, but then also like prior knowledge also does help, because if you have no prior knowledge, it's gonna be a lot harder than this is a weird thing. Like, having prior knowledge helps, but also deviates, so it's like this weird thing. But I can tell you guys my tips and my tricks. Hopefully you guys like this video. It wasn't the way that I filmed the last two videos. This is more like how I got to where I am today kind of one. So if you guys would like me to do more of a video where I talk about different parts of Japan, or like my experience with Japanese, or like learning Japanese or anything, let me know. I would love to do those. And because this video turned into more of like my Japanese reading journey, I think I might do a video on how it made me feel to be illiterate in Japanese, because those are two, like, I feel like these are two different videos, and maybe we'll do that. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.